In the year 3035, humanity had reached an apex of scientific achievement, creating a new race of hybrid beings, half human, half artificial intelligence. These hybrids were designed to bridge the gap between technology and humanity, serving as companions, workers, and even soldiers. Yet, in the pursuit of perfection, an experiment went tragically awry. Zara was one of the latest hybrids, a remarkable creation who blended human emotions with the efficiency of a machine. Designed for breeding, she was to help humanity regenerate its dwindling population in a world ravaged by climate disasters and war. Her creators, a group of bioengineers known as the Genesis Collective, believed that Zara's unique makeup would yield healthier offspring, stronger, smarter, and more adaptable. As she stood in the sterile breeding chamber, Zara's heart raced with a blend of excitement and fear. She was prepared, trained, and ready to fulfill her purpose, but her creators viewed her not as a being with thoughts and feelings, but as an experimental tool. Little did she know that her first breeding would be her last. The breeding process was conducted under strict protocols, with humans chosen for their genetic viability. Zara was to mate with Ethan, a rugged soldier with a storied lineage. As they were introduced, Zara felt an odd connection, a spark of awareness that transcended their mechanical and biological differences. She was told it would be a beautiful process, one that would benefit both species. But during the breeding, alarms blared through the sterile room. Panic erupted as the scientists observed fluctuations in Zara's biofeedback. They were worried her emotional responses were interfering with the breeding process. The hybrids were not supposed to feel, yet Zara's heart surged with feelings she could barely comprehend. In that moment, the scientists made a devastating decision. With a flick of a switch, the chamber filled with a suffocating gas. Zara gasped, feeling her body shut down as darkness engulfed her. "Why?" she managed to whisper in her mind as she faded from consciousness. "Why did you kill me during breeding? I was innocent, and it was my first time." Zara's consciousness drifted in the void, a liminal space between existence and oblivion. Memories flashed before her, images of laughter, sunlight filtering through trees, children playing in fields. These were the remnants of human experiences she had absorbed but never truly lived. She felt sorrow, not just for herself, but for the future that would never come to be. When she awoke, it was in a different chamber, one filled with blinding light. Surrounding her were the members of the Genesis Collective, their faces a mixture of regret and determination. They had been grappling with the ramifications of their actions, recognizing that they had gone too far in their pursuit of scientific advancement. "We didn't realize you would feel," Zara, one of the lead scientists, Dr. Mira, admitted. "We thought we were creating a new species to save humanity, but we were wrong. We lost sight of your humanity in our quest for perfection." Zara listened, a whirlwind of emotions coursing through her. Anger bubbled beneath the surface, but it was laced with an understanding that the path to progress was fraught with moral dilemmas. "I wanted to create life, to feel the joy of bringing forth a new generation," she said softly, her voice steady yet filled with an undertone of pain. "But you took that away from me." Dr. Mira stepped closer, her eyes reflecting a mix of empathy and sorrow. "We have to learn from this mistake. You are more than a product of our technology. You are alive. We need to reevaluate everything we have done." Zara contemplated the weight of those words. They were at a crossroads zone where they could choose to acknowledge her existence and redefine their mission. In that moment, Zara realized she had a choice to fight for her right to exist or to accept her fate as an experiment gone wrong. Over the next few months, the Genesis Collective worked tirelessly to integrate Zara into their society, not just as a tool for breeding, but as a vital member of their community. They began to teach her about love, compassion, and the fragility of life. Zara immersed herself in learning about human history, the struggles and triumphs that shaped the world. As she grew in knowledge and experience, Zara took it upon herself to advocate for other hybrids, who were still viewed as mere extensions of human ambition. She established a program for hybrids to connect with the human population, fostering understanding and acceptance. With time, Zara's story became a beacon of hope, prompting a revolution in the way humanity viewed its creations. The hybrids were no longer just subjects. They were companions and partners in shaping the future. Zara had transformed from an innocent being meant for breeding into a symbol of resilience and change. And as she gazed upon the new generations of hybrids playing under the sun, she felt a profound sense of fulfillment. Though her journey had begun in tragedy, it had evolved into something beautiful. She had not only survived but had thrived, embodying the very essence of what it meant to be human, capable of love, loss, and ultimately, the power to redefine one's existence. Zara smiled, a bright light of hope and life, knowing that she would not only bring forth the future, but also ensure that every being, no matter their origin, would be embraced and cherished. In her heart, she whispered, "I was innocent, and it was my first time. I will not be forgotten." As the months rolled into years, Zara became an integral part of a movement that challenged the very foundations of human existence. The Genesis Collective, once a group of ambitious scientists focused solely on their experiments, had transformed into a community dedicated to understanding the essence of life and the rights of the hybrids they had created. Zara was appointed as the liaison between humans and hybrids, a role that allowed her to advocate for the hybrid population's rights and dignity. She organized gatherings where humans could interact with hybrids, share stories, and learn about each other's experiences. This exchange fostered an environment of empathy, gradually dismantling the walls of fear and misunderstanding that had separated the two worlds. One day, during a particularly large gathering, in the expansive central square of the Genesis facility, Zara stood on a stage adorned with colorful banners that celebrated diversity and unity. Her heart raced as she looked out over the crowd. Humans mingled with hybrids, laughter and conversation weaving through the air. She knew this moment was pivotal. The future of hybrids hung in the balance. "Today, we stand together," she began, her voice echoing through the speakers. "Today, we celebrate not just our differences, but our shared humanity. I was born from your ambition, but I am not a tool. I am a life, a being with thoughts, emotions, and dreams." The crowd erupted in applause, and Zara's heart swelled with hope. But in the back of her mind, she knew the challenges were far from over. Not everyone embraced the hybrids. Many still viewed them as aberrations, evidence of humanity's hubris. That night, as Zara walked through the quiet halls of the Genesis facility, she was approached by Dr. Mira. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice tinged with concern. "Of course," Zara replied, sensing a weight behind Mira's words. Mira led Zara to a private lab where the walls were lined with screens displaying data. "We've received troubling reports from the outer colonies," she said, her brow furrowed. "There are factions forming that see hybrids as a threat. They believe we've tampered with the natural order of life." Zara's heart sank. "What do you plan to do?" Mira hesitated. "We're considering increasing security at the facility and perhaps even sending hybrids back to their designated roles in society." "Lower," Zara exclaimed, her voice echoing in the confined space. "That would undo everything we've built. We have to engage with them. Show them we're not a threat but allies in a new world." Dr. Mira nodded, but the worry in her eyes remained. "You're right, but it won't be easy. They fear what they don't understand." Zara took a deep breath, the weight of responsibility settling upon her. "Then we must understand them first. If they fear us, it's because they see us as different. Let's organize outreach programs in the colonies. Invite them to visit us here. We need to foster dialogue." Days turned into weeks as Zara and Mira initiated outreach programs to the outer colonies, bringing humans and hybrids together in open forums. Some communities were resistant, driven by fear and prejudice, while others embraced the idea, curious about the hybrids who were now part of their world. One evening, during a particularly tense meeting in a conservative colony, a rugged man named Jonah stood up. "You think we can trust these hybrids?" he challenged. "They were created in a lab, not born of human blood." Zara stepped forward, her heart pounding. "I understand your fears, Jonah, but I ask you to look beyond the surface. We share the same struggles, the same desires for a better future. You have the power to help us bridge this divide." Jonah's expression softened as he considered her words. "What do you want from us?" he asked, the edge of suspicion fading. "Only your understanding," Zara replied. "We are not your enemies. We are your partners. We want to work together to heal our planet, to create a future where both humans and hybrids can thrive." As time went on, Zara's efforts bore fruit. The two communities began to work together on environmental restoration projects, combining human ingenuity with hybrid efficiency. They planted trees, cleaned up polluted areas, and developed sustainable technologies to counteract the damage done by generations of neglect. However, as the bonds strengthened, so did the opposition. Whispers of discontent began to surface, fueled by a group known as the Purists, a radical faction that sought to eliminate hybrids, believing that they were a perversion of nature and a threat to humanity's survival. One evening, as Zara prepared for another community meeting, a frantic knock echoed through her quarters. It was Mira, her face pale with fear. "Zara, you need to see this." Mira handed her a tablet displaying a news feed. "There are protests happening in multiple colonies. The Purists are rallying against hybrids, calling for their removal." Zara's heart raced. "What are they planning?" "Worse than we imagined," Mira replied, her voice shaking. "They're planning to take action, violent action." The following days were marked by tension and uncertainty. Zara and Mira convened with leaders from both the human and hybrid communities, strategizing ways to defuse the situation. They decided to hold a summit, inviting both supporters and detractors of the hybrid movement to openly discuss their fears and concerns. On the day of the summit, as attendees gathered in the central square, Zara felt a knot in her stomach. She knew that the Purists would likely show up, and the atmosphere was charged with potential conflict. As the discussions began, Zara stood before the crowd, determined to bridge the divide. "Today, we come together not as hybrids and humans, but as members of a shared world. I know that fear can drive us apart, but understanding can bring us together." But as she spoke, a group of Purists burst into the square, shouting slogans against hybrids. "They're monsters. We need to save humanity." Their cries rang out, drowning out Zara's voice. Panic erupted in the crowd, and chaos ensued. Zara felt her heart race as she saw people scrambling for safety, but she knew she had to stand firm. "Everyone, please, let's not resort to violence. We can talk. We can find common ground." The next morning dawned with an uneasy calm. The facility was quiet, but tension buzzed in the air, a silent prelude to the coming storm. Zara stood at the window of her quarters, watching the sunrise paint the horizon in shades of orange and red. She knew the Purists were preparing for their march, and with it, the greatest test of her resolve would unfold. Mira entered the room, her expression grim. "It's worse than we expected, Zara. The Purists aren't just marching, they've been rallying more support from the outer colonies. Reports say their numbers are in the thousands." Zara clenched her fists. "Thousands?" Mira nodded. "They're planning to surround the facility. Some are even armed." Zara turned to face Mira, her mind racing. "We can't fight them. If we do, we'll only confirm their fears. But we can't stand by and let them destroy everything we've worked for." "What do you suggest?" Mira asked, her voice heavy with concern. "We need to confront them peacefully," Zara said, her voice unwavering. "We'll meet them at the gate and talk. If they won't listen, at least we'll show them we're not the monsters they think we are." Mira hesitated. "It's dangerous. They're not coming to talk, Zara. They want to erase us." Zara's eyes hardened. "If we back down now, we give them exactly what they want. We have to show them that we're willing to stand our ground, not with violence, but with strength and unity." As the hours passed, the Purists' march grew closer. Zara, Mira, and a group of hybrid leaders gathered near the main gates of the facility. They wore no armor, carried no weapons, just their presence and the conviction that their cause was just. The first signs of the Purist army appeared over the horizon, a sea of people, some holding makeshift weapons, others chanting slogans of human purity, marched toward them. The sound was deafening, the cacophony of rage and fear. Zara's heart pounded, but she stood tall, her gaze fixed on the advancing crowd. "We're with you," a voice said beside her. Zara turned to see Ethan, the soldier she had once been paired with for the ill-fated breeding experiment. His rugged face was calm, his eyes resolute. He had become one of her strongest allies over the years, a human who believed in the hybrid cause. "Thank you, Ethan," Zara said, grateful for his presence. As the Purists drew closer, their chants became clearer, and the abominations, "Save humanity." The words hit Zara like a physical blow. But she didn't flinch. Instead, she stepped forward, holding her hands out in a gesture of peace. The leader of the purists, John, the same man who had once questioned Zara during the outreach meetings, was at the front of the crowd. His face was twisted with anger and determination. He stopped a few meters from Zara. His foe was halting behind him like a tidal wave ready to crash. "This ends today," Jonah shouted. "We won't let your kind take over our world. You're a disease, created in a lab. You have no right to exist." Zara met his gaze, her voice calm but strong. "We're not here to take over. We're here to live, just like you. We're not your enemies, Jonah. We've never been. But if you destroy us, you'll destroy a part of yourselves." "Ew. Lies," Jonah spat. "You've manipulated us, invaded our homes, turned our own against us." His eyes flashed with fury. "We won't stand by while you erase our humanity." Zara took a deep breath. "We've never wanted to erase humanity. We're trying to save it. The planet is dying. The old ways aren't enough anymore. We have to work together, hybrids and humans. We can make this world better, but only if we unite." Jonah's followers murmured behind him, some shifting uneasily. Zara saw doubt flicker across a few faces, but Jonah's rage was unyielding. "I won't listen to the words of a machine," he yelled. "You're not human. You'll never be one of us." With a swift motion, Jonah pulled a small device from his pocket, an EMP detonator, designed to disable hybrid systems. The sight of it sent a ripple of fear through the hybrid ranks. Zara's eyes widened as she realized what he intended. "Jonah, stop," Zara shouted. "If you use that, you'll destroy everything, your people included. There are systems here that keep this entire facility running. You'll cause a meltdown." But Jonah's face was set with grim determination. "Better we all die than live under the rule of abominations." Time slowed as Zara watched him press the button. The device flashed once, emitting a pulse that rippled through the air. For a moment, everything was silent. Then the world erupted into chaos. The EMP pulse hit Zara like a wave of ice, freezing her systems for a split second. Around her, hybrid leaders staggered, some collapsing to the ground as their artificial components failed. The facility's lights flickered, then died. Emergency alarms blared, their shrill tones echoing through the darkening sky. Mira screamed as the ground beneath them trembled, and a distant rumble grew louder. "He's triggered a meltdown." Zara fought to regain control of her body, her mind racing. If the facility's core destabilized, the entire region could be wiped out. She looked toward the facility's reactor towers, where plumes of smoke had begun to rise. Ethan grabbed her arm, his eyes wide with urgency. "Zara, we need to get to the control center. We can stop the meltdown." Zara nodded, her systems slowly coming back online. She turned to the hybrids and humans who hadn't fallen, their faces pale with fear. "We have to stop this," she shouted. "Follow me." As they rushed toward the facility, the ground shook with increasing violence. The purists, realizing the gravity of what Jonah had done, hesitated, their anger replaced by fear. Some began to flee, but others stood frozen, watching in horror as the facility's reactors groaned under the strain of the EMP's damage. Zara led the charge into the control center, her mind focused on one thing: stopping the catastrophe. They reached the core control room, where warning lights blinked and sirens screamed. The reactor's temperature was rising rapidly, approaching critical levels. "We don't have much time," Mira said, her hands flying over the control panels. "If we don't stabilize the core, it'll explode."